Democratic Congresswoman LaMonica McIver is leveling some charges of her own today, saying that the 2 counts against her of assaulting law enforcement are just pure politics. These charges stem from a confrontation earlier this month involving Democratic members of Congress at an ICE detention facility. Here's what she said earlier today.
It's super unfortunate, Kate, that we have come to this point, in America, that this is what we see happening to leaders who are trying to do their jobs. Rather it's the mayor of the largest city, rather it's a judge. We've seen this administration come after and attack, leaders for doing their jobs. It's political intimidation, and I will not be intimidated.
Joining us now is Tom Homan, border czar for the Trump administration. Thank you for being here. You just heard the Congresswoman. She says she was there to do her job, congressional oversight, and that these charges amount to political intimidation. In a statement, she also said it was ICE agents who created an unnecessary and unsafe confrontation. Do you believe that they could have unnecessarily escalated the situation, given that members of Congress have a right to be there and to go in?
Well, look, they have a right to be there for oversight, but there's a proper way to do it. Forcing your way in the facility, putting hands on an ICE officer is not the way to do it. So I think she was out of line. I've seen the videotape. I've seen 6 or 7 different videotapes that show her acting unprofessionally. These are the same people who, for 4 years, are saying President Trump wasn't above the law. Well, either is she. There's a line you can't cross, and I think she crossed it. Now, I'll leave it up to the Alina Habba, the prosecutor who's handling this case, to prove the case, but the video makes it clear to me that she wasn't being professional that day. She certainly didn't act like a member of Congress. She certainly could have requested a tour. They give tours all the time, and if she got the tour, and many people have had the tour since, they've seen a grade A facility, the highest detention standards in the industry, that puts to shame any facility, county or state, that New Jersey has. So it was. I think it was politics over public safety. That's a facility where the worst of the worst are housed. We can't lose control of that facility. But her actions cause a ruckus at that facility and makes that facility unsafe.
Did she cause the ruckus, though? Because you acknowledge that she has a right to be there. You put out, the administration put out a document back in February saying members of Congress will be allowed to go in. They said that they had to wait for hours. And I want to ask you about the word that you've very carefully used, which is unprofessional. Even if you believe she was unprofessional, did you see something in that tape that suggested she was criminal? Is there a tape that we haven't seen? Because the charging documents suggest that she somehow assaulted 2 of the ICE agents there. I did not see that in that tape.
Well, I've seen tapes where she has made body contact with ICE officers and pushing them. I mean, there's a lot of tapes out there. I mean, there's numerous tapes.
In a scuffle, is it normal that people would make body contact, though, Mr. Homan?
Bottom line is, you say she has a right to do her oversight, but there's a right way to do it. Forcing yourself through officers to get in that facility is not the way to do it. We have many Congress visit our facilities. What she did was unprofessional.
Do you believe that she was a threat?
I believe she caused the facility to be unsafe. When ICE officers are being pulled off their duties to deal with a member of Congress who's forced away in the facility and puts her hands on an ICE officer is unprofessional. I think she crossed the line. Again, I'm not the prosecutor. I don't have to prove it in court, but the video I saw shows her at fault.
If she was in some way dangerous, if she caused the facility to be unsafe, why would they ultimately let her in?
They didn't allow her in. If in that moment she forced her way in, then they dealt with it from then on. Look, the ICE officer, and this is the same week where we're here in D.C. honoring the men and women of law enforcement who made the ultimate sacrifice. I went to Border Patrol Memorial. I went to the ICE Memorial.
I just want to clarify something you said. She did go in, Mr. Homan. She did go in.
The men and women law enforcement. The same week we honored the men and women law enforcement, she's up there putting her hands on them. So she's being held accountable. She should be held.
But you acknowledge she did go into the facility. So why would she be let in?
Look,
if she was a danger?
Look, I wasn't there. I'm just telling you what I've learned through my sources and from the videotapes I saw, that she forced her way in the facility. There's a difference between oversight responsibility, working, arranging with ICE to go do a safe and secure tour of a facility where criminals are locked up, criminals are walking the hallways, and forcing you away in the facility. It should have been done more professionally, and I'll let the courts decide if she's in violation of law. But the videos I saw, she could have been a hell of a lot more professional on that day.
And you believe the ICE agents were professional?
I believe so. Yes.
Let me ask you about, I don't know how much you heard of my question. Big picture, a Georgia college student was mistakenly, the officers involved acknowledged they mistakenly pulled her over. She's being detained right now. Her father said he was never worried about her. She came over here at 4, never been in any trouble. She's a college student. Because you had said you would prioritize gang members, rapists, and criminals. She obviously is none of those things. Has that changed? Has that priority changed?
No. What I have said is we're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats, and that's what we're doing. But just because we prioritize somebody doesn't mean we walk away from illegal alien. If you're in the country legally, I've said this 1,000 times, you're not off the table. You're just not being prioritized. I'm not familiar with this case. I don't know if she has a criminal history. I don't know if she's an overstay. I don't know if she's here illegally. I'm just not familiar with this case.
The Trump administration has spent millions of dollars on an ad campaign, an app to get people to self-deport. The first flight, I understand, carrying 64 of those migrants, that's an administration number, landed in Honduras yesterday, and then the same flight, we're told, also took people to Colombia. Do you have an update on how many people have signed up for the app, or what kind of numbers you expect in terms of self-deportation? I guess bottom line, what can taxpayers expect for the millions of dollars spent on this?
Well, I think it was around, last I looked, I believe the number is around 7,500. We expect that number to vastly increase the more we get information out. But it's a cost savings for American taxpayers. I mean, a removal proceedings around 17,000. These people are leaving for, with $1,000. It's going to save detention costs. It's going to save transportation costs. It's going to save judicial costs, through the whole immigration court proceeding. So I hope people take advantage of them because they can get their arrangements together, whatever arrangements they have to do with their families and their possessions, to go to their country and give themselves an opportunity to come back, either as a visitor, a tourist, or come as a student on a visa, or if they have a U.S. citizen child, a U.S. citizen child can petition for them to come in as a parent of a U.S. citizen. It leaves them open to legal pathways, because if we have to go through the process of locating them, having a formal order deportation issued by a federal judge, and finding them and actually putting hands and deporting them, that locks them out from a lot of programs in the future. There's a bar placed against them for up to 20 years. Some bars are permanent. So leave them on their own. If they're in the country legally, do the right thing. And because there are millions of people standing in line right now, taking their tests, doing their background investigations, paying the fees to be a part of the greatest nation on earth, and they're sitting in the back seat while we're dealing with over 10 million illegal aliens coming across the border in the last administration. So we're asking people to do the right thing. You're in the country lawfully. Entry the country illegal is a crime. Go home and make it right, and make yourself eligible for the legal programs.
Can I just make sure I understand, because I know it was only 64 on that one flight, but are you saying that 7,500 number is all self-deported folks?
Yeah, we got a lot of self-deportations that aren't going to the normal process. The CBP One app's one, but a lot of people are self-deporting and showing up, to the Mexican port of entries, and we know that it's hard to capture a true number. The last number I saw was about 7,500 total. The CBP One app, I think we're around, last I looked at, 3,000 have applied just the last couple of weeks. So the number changes every day, but it's hard to track the exact number because a lot of people self-deport on their own and don't make a report. I wish they would, because it help us track them and understand that they've left the country so that they can qualify for another program.
A lot of undocumented immigrants have said that they don't feel safe signing up for the app because they're giving their information to the government. Can you assure people who sign up for that app that they won't be arrested before they self-deport, that there's no danger in signing up for that app?
Of course, that's the whole reason we want them to get their affairs together and leave. So we won't arrest them unless we realize there's a significant public safety threat or a significant national security threat. We can't allow them to stay here. We have to go find them and get them out quick as we can. But the whole justification for this program, leave on your own, get your affairs together. Whether it's family members, whether it's property, whatever, get your affairs together, and let's do this the most humane way we can.
I also want to finally ask you about one more video. We looked at the Congresswoman's video, but there is a new video from that high-profile case. This was released by Mahmoud Khalil's lawyers. It shows the moments leading up to the Colombian graduate student's arrest. The government had claimed he wouldn't cooperate. They believed he was going to leave the scene. This video, we see him talking to them, laughing. They were handing the phone back and forth. He was talking to his lawyer. The agents were talking to his lawyer. And then his wife even went and brought his green card, which he handed over. So is there something we're not seeing? What is the justification for saying that he was not being cooperative and they thought he was going to flee?
Again, I'm not familiar with the intricacies of that investigation. I know that the State Department worked with ICE to solidify that they considered him a support of a terrorist organization, enemy of this country. It's not just what he said, it's actions he took. Taking over a college building, taking over college property, damaging college property, holding people against your will, threatening Jewish students. None of that's okay. It's a great privilege to come to this country on a visa or a green card. You got to follow the rules. You don't follow the rules, you can be deported. And I think the State Department made that decision to revoke his status, which means he's now illegal in the United States. He has to be removed.
And we should say his family and his lawyers disagree with that characterization of what he did. But Tom Homan, you've given us a lot of time, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.